All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Vikings Territory Roundtable, episode 33. I am your host, Brett Anderson. I'm joined by my usual guys. We got Sean in the bottom left-hand corner there. BJ still rocking the awesome mustache, which he's taken a lot of heat for on Twitter. I think it's a little unfair, personally.
Haters gonna hate.
But he's holding out till the end of November, so he's doing his thing. Austin up in the upper right-hand corner. How you guys doing tonight? You guys ready for some Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah.
What's like your guys' go-to, like your one dish that is just Thanksgiving to you that you're looking for pre-Thanksgiving? Any of you guys? Huh?
You take a dinner roll, you take butter, you butter both sides of the dinner roll, you put stuffing, mashed potatoes, a layer of turkey, cranberry, little gravy, you mash it together, and that's Thanksgiving. Just everything on a roll.
You got some sort of weird like post Thanksgiving thing, Austin, right? Where you like make egg rolls out of your leftovers.
Yeah, I make the egg rolls.
You take wonton wrappers, and then you line them with leftover stuffing, leftover mashed. It's stuffing, not dressing. Leftover stuffing, leftover mashed potatoes, and then some turkey. You roll it up, you throw it in the deep fryer. And then you take your cranberry sauce and you make like a dipping sauce. And so they're Thanksgiving egg rolls. And they're bomb. They're so good.
What about
you?
It does sound good. What about you guys, BJ, Sean? Like
I have kind of – mine's not like a typical Thanksgiving food, but my dad makes it every year. We do wild rice with bacon, mushrooms, and onions in it. It's absolutely fantastic. So that's what I personally look forward to, mixing that up with a little bit of mashed potatoes and some corn, and then maybe a little bit of meat, depending on if it's prime rib or turkey. I really don't care. I'm just a food – like I like food, so I'm not going to complain about anything. I also like free food. And I get to have that twice over the next couple of days. So my family is doing Thanksgiving on Friday because my dad's a better person than me and is doing Meals on Wheels tomorrow. So I'm pretty jacked for just the free food. I don't have food takes. I just like eating in general. So
that's a food take. Liking all the food is a food take. I think so. Yeah.
I'm not like I am kind of picky though, but like I don't like have like these like irrational food takes like turkey sucks. Like turkey doesn't suck. It's a very well produced meat. What? Everyone seems to like it. People buy it every single year. Definitely doesn't suck. Just a really poor take by anyone that has that one.
I'll say this much: dark meat is way better than white meat.
I don't think it's a poor meat necessarily. I'm just like because when I go to like Subway or go get a sandwich or make a sandwich at home, I'm putting turkey on it a lot of the time. But like on Thanksgiving, it's out of the 20 other options that are available, because we made way too much food, like turkey is the last thing that I'm going to, especially if there's other meats like prime rib and ham involved. So
that's Christmas though. Prime rib and ham is Christmas and Easter.
Well, we're doing all three, so
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. But anyway, Sean, you didn't. Yeah, what's your? Go ahead.
Mine is stuffing. Like Austin said, it's called stuffing. Dressing belongs on a salad. I'll just leave it at that.
All right, fair enough. All right, guys. Well, we got a bit to get into. We're gonna try and do a quick show today. We were having some technical difficulties. We may still be having technical difficulties. Honestly, I'm not sure at this point, but we're recording anyway, so it is what it is. We'd be remiss if we didn't start off at the top talking about quarterbacks. I feel kind of silly because I don't know if people are going to know this or not, but we just spent the last 7 minutes talking about quarterbacks. So we're going to do it again, I guess, really quick. But basically, Keenum came out and killed it again against the Rams. So at this point, at least me personally, Team Teddy president, I really don't see a situation anymore if Keenum keeps up this level of play where you can bench him without a ton of backlash and risking a ton. I know our opinion on the show and some of the things we've talked about quite a bit have basically been, do you think Keenum can take you to the Super Bowl? And if you don't think he's the person that can take you to the Super Bowl, then you need to install Teddy and see what you have, because maybe he has more upside. Maybe he can be the guy. At this point, do any of you still have that take? I mean, is there anyone at the table that doesn't think Keenum can win a Super Bowl with this Vikings team? And basically, I'm going to get a simple yes from all of you, or I'm going to get a simple yes, we think he can win the Super Bowl. And if there's any no's, then I want to hear more from you. So does basically everyone think he can win the Super Bowl with this roster?
Yes.
At this point, yes. I think I know that you wanted a simple yes or no. I don't think that it works that way. The simple answer for me is yes. The elongated answer follows along the lines of let's see how he does against the Falcons and Panthers first, and then we'll talk again.
Not Detroit?
Well, yeah, Detroit too, obviously. I guess I kind of forgot that we were playing them tomorrow for a second, but let's just make sure that that he plays well against these important games. I think we have a large enough sample size, though, and after beating the Rams, I mean, I'm not going to say he can't. Put it that way.
Okay. I'm going to take that as a yes, even though you didn't want to simplify it to that much. Sean?
That works.
I'll say yes, but I think it changes every week depending on the game and the results and how he plays.
All right, that's good enough, I guess. So one of the things, and one of the other things that I've always kind of, been a proponent for putting Teddy in is seeing what we have long term. And so, I know that we should only look ahead to the next game, and you kind of have that player talk or whatever. Not trying to get too far ahead of yourselves and not trying to look to the future too much. But I really think that's what the great NFL franchises and dynasties do, right? Is they look to the future. So I'm going to ask you guys to look to the future for a second. What happens at the position long term if you don't know what you have in Teddy? So let's just say Keenum continues at this level of play, right? We get to the playoffs, maybe we don't go to the Super Bowl, but he continues to be an above average backup quarterback, right? What do you do at that point with Teddy? Because both of them are going to be free agents. Do any of you guys think we have to see Teddy by the end of the year in order to know what we have in him long term, or do you think that what the coaches are seeing in practice is good enough to make that determination? BJ, awesome. Someone, Sean.
You're bringing the hard questions 24 hours before Thanksgiving, Brett. I mean,
come on, man.
Here's the thing. I don't think you necessarily need to see him in order to project, what he's going to be, because, if the coaches are evaluating him in practice, they're evaluating his footwork. So that means, does he have the durability in his knee to, move around and make quick twitch movements? That's super important. So if you're seeing these types of things, yes, I think that you can re-sign him and be confident in him, but I'm still big on the idea that until the guy gets hit, we're never going to know what type of quarterback he is. We need to see him get absolutely unloaded on one time and see how he gets up and how he manages the game after he gets hit. That's what I need to see from Teddy Bridgewater. You're not going to see that in practice, obviously, because he's got the red shirt on. So to a degree, yeah, I think you do need to see him on the field to feel comfortable. But at the same time, I would still re-sign him knowing what you do about him now.
It's such a complicated situation, man, because I don't know. I can see it happening where the Vikings basically get stuck having to make a decision between the two of these guys at the end of the season, and you just hope that they don't make the wrong one. I don't know. I definitely don't envy the position that Mike Zimmer's in or Rick Spielman with these decisions that they're going to have to make. I guess best case scenario is Case Keenum wins the Vikings a Super Bowl, and then I guess the question is answered at that point. I mean, I don't know if Keenum wins a Super Bowl. I pretty much have your answer, don't you?
I sure hope so.
I mean, it would be crazy to have Keenum win a Super Bowl and then not re-sign him.
There would still be
right. Austin, there would be like maybe you're not convinced that that's crazy.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot we don't know in terms of.
That's why we have to speculate. That's all we do, man. None of us
yeah,
know.
I mean, part of me is getting into the conspiracy theories that Teddy's ready to go, and they're just protecting him from the free agent market, and they're going to let Case walk either way. Let someone overpay for Case because they know what they have in Teddy. Basically, it's a question of who would you rather lose, and I bet you they'd rather lose Case Keenum, even though he's played well these past 6-game winning streak. I don't know. I mean. I'm blanking out here.
This is a really good show.
I also heard BJ take a snapshot of himself. So
wasn't that but close enough?
Yeah, I don't think they let Teddy walk. You don't move into the first round, draft Teddy, stick by him through the whole injury process, declare he's ready to go way before anyone thought he would be, and then let him walk in free agency. I think he long term is their guy, even though Case Keenum is playing well. Like Case Keenum playing well and Teddy being ready, they can happen at the same time without Teddy stepping on the field. Like they can say, you know what, we think he's good, but we're not going to put him out there in the middle of this run while Case is playing well, throw off team chemistry, yada, yada, yada. So that's kind of my roundabout take on that.
Are we even live right now?
Brett's on mute. This is bad.
Oh, sorry, my bad. We are not live right now, thankfully. But it doesn't matter because we're recording the show. Don't make that face, BJ, because people are still going to see it. Because we're recording the show and I'm going to upload it when we're done. So we're just, it's okay. We used to always record the shows, okay? We just recently started doing live shows. So it's just like the old days. Now we're just recording it. Yeah, so anyway, all right, let's move on to something else. No more quarterback talk. I'm sure we'll be talking about it next week, but let's
for what it's worth, I'm with Austin. I think Teddy's the QB of the future regardless. Even if Case wins us a Super Bowl, they want Teddy.
That's just crazy talk, though. Like, even as Team Teddy president, that's crazy talk, right? Like,
it's not.
Well, okay, so we win a Super Bowl with Case. How long is his extension? 1 year? 3 years?
200 years, $4,000 million. I don't.
A baseball contract.
All of it, everything. Yeah, give him. See, that's my thing. Is that like if the Vikings were the Patriots and they had like 5 Super Bowl rings, then maybe you still think about the quarterback afterwards. But for Vikings fans who have been through it all, I mean, younger guy, I haven't been through it all with you guys, but for the older fan base, the people who have been suffering since 1961. I mean, I don't care who wins the Super Bowl. I don't care if it's Trent Dilfer. I don't care if it's Case Keenum. I don't care. Dude, you could put Antoine Randall back there for me, and if he wins the Super Bowl, he's my damn quarterback. Like that's how I feel because give me the ring. That's all I want. Like for the rest of my life, I want one. I'm not going to complain if we get one for the rest of my life. So if Case Keenum is the guy to do that, and he does do it, give him all the money he wants. Right. He can have my apartment. Seriously, I don't care. Like I just want to win, and I think Case Keenum's doing a hell of a job doing that right now.
So
I understand that.
Go ahead.
But you're totally shortchanging yourself for the future. I think if he does happen to win us the Super Bowl, they're going to try to re-sign them both because they know Teddy's the future. At least they want him to be.
You won't be able to. You won't be able to without seriously
get that much money.
Yeah.
Well,
Super Bowl winning quarterback. I mean, look how much Mike Glennon got paid, and he hasn't done anything. And people have seen the potential with Teddy, so people are going to pay that. You could not sign both quarterbacks right now after the season that Case Keenum has had without seriously, holding back the rest of the team salary cap wise. Like you would have a ton of money sunk into quarterback if you did that.
If Keenum has one bad game, not many people are going to really want him. They're not going to pay him that much money. One bad game is all it'll take.
What, $90 million? What was his deal worth? Some crazy number?
It was 16 average annual. I know that.
That's nuts. That's crazy. I mean, Joe Flacco was $21 million at one point. I think he still is. Guys are going to pay for quarterbacks that can play in the league because there's less and less every single year. Brett, you're on mute.
In this market, like right now, I don't think you could get both of them for less combined than $35 million a year. Combined, both of them combined.
But you've also got to pay out extensions to guys who are deserving of extensions next year.
And that's what I mean. You try and sign both of them, you don't have money to spend elsewhere, and there's too much talent at every level on this team right now to not have money to put elsewhere. So, I think what it comes down to too is like 50. I would say this is not science, but let's say 50%. That would be my guess of the Vikings fan base right now does not want to see Teddy at quarterback. They're completely happy with Keenum. I don't know the results of our poll actually. Actually, I think Keenum was even maybe higher than 50%, right? We ran a poll to say which quarterback did they want to see start the rest of the season. Pretty sure Keenum won maybe like by 70%. So already fans want to see Keenum start over Teddy. If Keenum wins a Super Bowl, you're going to have 5% of the fan base that maybe believes the Vikings should roll with Teddy after that. And deservedly so, right? Like DJ was saying, if Case Keenum wins a Super Bowl, it's even silly to be talking about this. It's like
true. That's true, but I just think you're totally shortchanging your future if you pay Case Keenum $40 million a year.
Yeah,
$20 million
probably.
A year.
But at that point, it's kind of like I'll kind of be like, whatever. We got a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like we'll still be on that Super Bowl.
As a Vikings fan, I totally get that. I do get that.
That's the feeling that I have too, Brett. Is that I'm not even thinking about the salary cap for next year. Like I'm just going to be done. Like I'm going to be done. Like, period. Like, I'll have everything I want once we get the Super Bowl. You guys probably won't ever see me again. I'll just be good. You know? Like,
like turning your fan card, it worked out. I mean, that's the end goal, right?
Yes. Just once.
Then you can watch the team without any kind of stress or worry, because guess what? They won the Super Bowl.
They did it one time, and that constitutes a trend to a degree, maybe. If they get it, they start winning games. I mean, here's the thing, though. Backing up to a more rational conversation, I suppose, what Brett was alluding to with paying both these quarterbacks at this point in time, I think that Austin's right on the money with saying that right now Case Keenum is probably is looking at a deal similar to Mike Lennox. That's the most comparable in my opinion. But then Teddy Bridgewater's situation is I haven't ever seen this situation before. I did some research on it today because I got an awesome question from one of our great YouTube commenters about what to expect from Teddy Bridgewater. And I went through and I spent like 40 minutes, like way too much time on this. And I've got nothing on how to project Teddy Bridgewater's contract. There is he's been out of the year. It's like trying to figure out what you pay Josh Gordon next year if he didn't play right now. Like he was really good
more
at one
complicated
point
than that because he's a quarterback. I mean, even that comparison is.
Yeah, but the only thing with Josh Gordon is obviously all the other things that kind of murk it up too. But my point being here is I think that there's a possibility that you could see Teddy Bridgewater end up signing for a contract similar to what Keenum did last year. Because he hasn't played. He's going to get right now. It was about $3 million. About $3 million for a year.
Yeah. Bridgewater is going to sign for so much more than $3 million.
Listen to why I think this though. Because right now he is a backup quarterback, and all of we have on him is from his the time when he was a starting quarterback. That starting quarterback does not warrant $20 million a year. He was a very good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Teddy Bridgewater apologist, believer, whatever word you want to use. But his 2 years of service in the NFL do not warrant another $15 million contract. And especially with a year off, I think that he ends up getting paid backup quarterback money.
He's still got the potential, though. He still has a lot more potential than Keaton.
So what's the value of
there's
potential?
Going to be a huge premium. There's going to be a huge premium for high upside at the most important position on the field. Like $3 million, there's no way. I couldn't see it less than $10 million. And honestly, I'm thinking it's probably more around 15. And I'm not basing that off of anything. It's just my wild guess. But what'll happen is you'll have a very incentive-laden deal, that's team friendly. That's kind of like a prove it deal for a high amount that I think won't have a lot of guaranteed money outside of the first year. A lot of guaranteed money built into workout bonuses and things like that. But I think it'll be way more than $3 million. And that's why I think this. I agree with you, BJ. Not only is the Teddy Bridgewater situation very unique and maybe never happened before in the NFL, but I think this whole quarterback situation as a whole is incredibly unique, and I'm not sure there's ever been anything like it before, which is why I don't envy the front office or the coaching staff in trying to make a decision. It's hard. So
I just got to say one more thing.
Go ahead. One more thing, and we'll move on.
So maybe I'm more greedy than you guys, but this roster is built for the long haul. I want to be the Patriots. I don't want one Super Bowl. I want a dynasty, and this team is built for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, but the problem is, and I agree with you, but that's what we all want, I think, and you can't sign both quarterbacks if that's what you want, because you won't be able to pay all of the other people that are, pivotal pieces in making it a long-term dynasty. So
personally, I think it'll be Teddy, but that's just me.
yeah.
Okay, so how about this? How about this one then? What if? I know, Brett, you're going to hate this, but what if, hypothetically speaking, Case Keenum brings the Vikings to the NFC Championship game, they lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, who go on to win the Super Bowl, hypothetically speaking, right? At that point, everyone's going to say, you got to re-sign Case Keenum, who's our starting quarterback. That's my assumption. I think that's the correct assumption, too. So at that point, you're putting all your eggs in one basket in Case Keenum. You allow Teddy Bridgewater to walk, and you spend your first-round pick on, say, I don't know, Lamar Jackson. That way you save money in terms of cap situation to go along with Sean's point, to keep this team in dynasty mode. You don't screw up the cap like the Saints or the Ravens or any of these teams in the past. And at the same time, you have kind of a supplemental plan if Case Keenum becomes, the Case Keenum we saw in Houston or in LA. It's not going to go over well with Teddy Bridgewater fans, but I think that's probably the most financially acceptable situation that would work the best for the Vikings, given what they're looking at right now.
It hurts me, but yeah, probably. But my thing is like if we don't win a Super Bowl, then I'm not automatically re-signing Case Keenum. It's going to be heavily based on his performance at that point, and especially if he may be a contributing factor to the reason we didn't win the NFC Championship. Like, let's say he throws a couple interceptions or something like that. Unless we win a Super Bowl, there's no guarantees for me with Keenum at quarterback. It'll depend heavily on his performance at that point in these last 5-6 weeks plus, assumedly the playoffs. So, anyone else have anything they want to add real quick before we move on? No, done talking about QB. All right, we had to do it. We had to get it out of the way. We're going to talk about it the rest of the season. Let's talk about Sharif Floyd really quick. I know this was interesting to you, Sean, something you wanted to talk about. So I guess I'm not sure what the official news is, and I'm not even sure that there was any official news. I saw something on Roto World that basically said there's a lot of concern that he will in fact never play again because of this nerve damage that he has, that he can't run. So I guess what the talker is here is, assuming Sharif Floyd is done, what do you do at the Vikings interior D-line? Does it become, for you guys, the biggest team need at this point if Sharif Floyd can't make his way back? Or because I guess I'm trying to think about, I guess it kind of starts a larger discussion on team needs, but I'm trying to think about like what this team's biggest need is looking at the draft, because I always love looking forward to the draft. I'm a draft Nick. But I think maybe if Sharif Floyd isn't back, that maybe one of your biggest needs becomes the interior D-line. Do you guys agree with that? Or Austin?
I think you can make a case that it is the biggest need, I think.
Even
I think it is.
With Sharif Floyd assumedly not coming back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do we have like, and I'm not studied up on this right now, but long-term at the position, what are we looking at right now? Do any of you guys know off the top of your head?
Jaleel Johnson is the future at the 3 technique spot, and I think Linval Joseph is still considered the future at the nose tackle spot. The depth there is the concern, with Tom Johnson being 33 years old. And, to some degree, I always go into every year skeptical of Tom Johnson just because of the 5 years he played with the Saints, and he didn't really do anything with them. And then out of nowhere, he has his best season at 30 years old. So the future at this position, I think, is probably the most in flux of any position. You look at the cornerbacks and you feel really good about the cornerbacks moving forward. The safety position, Jaron Curse and Anthony Harris. I know they're not world beaters, but you probably feel pretty comfortable with those young guys behind Harrison Smith and Anderson. I mean, the linebacker position, I think you can make a case, no pun intended, with Ben Gideon not really doing a whole lot this year. Yeah, it's my joke. It's my joke. Yeah. So I think you can make a case for a guy, a coverage linebacker again next year. But right now, I still think that defensive tackle and quarterback are probably the two biggest concerns. And, if you feel comfortable at quarterback, then defensive tackle probably looks like your Vikings are probably drafting the mid-20s right now. Get a good, solid defensive tackle to anchor your defensive line at like 25 or something like that. Well, 32, obviously, but you know what I'm saying?
Vikings are drafting at 32. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
That was my bad. I slipped up. Sorry.
Yep, you're bad. So, I mean, like, Austin, Sean, I guess, what do you guys think? We'll just roll this into a team needs conversation. Looking at the roster as a whole, long term, what do you think? What do you think the team needs are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go along with BJ and say you want to shore up that defensive interior because you got a lot of DNs. Even with Brian Robinson getting up there in age, you've got Griffin, you've got Hunter, you've got Weatherly, you've got Bauer. Who else am I missing? A bunch of guys who can play. What I'm going to go ahead and say is offensive line. I think you still want to shore up the interior. You still want to get a guy who is I don't want to say a project left tackle, but a left tackle that you can eventually mold into your future. Because Riley Reef, what did he sign, a 5-year deal? He's not going to be the guy long-term. He's still young, but I think offensive line, you still got to work on that rebuild because for as explosive and as good as the offense has been this year, there's still a bit behind the defense in terms of depth and talent. So
is Rashad Hill not that guy, that project left tackle potentially?
Well, I mean, swing tackle, but I think you want a couple guys that you can roll with and not just Rashad Hill. I think you got to get another guy.
Do you feel comfortable with the depth, like as it stands today in 2017? Looking at this offensive line, do you feel comfortable with the depth right now?
Yeah, I've been comfortable with it. My only concern, I was comfortable with it before the season. I'm comfortable with it now because even with the injuries, you've had guys who can plug and play. Nick Easton's not that much different than Jeremiah Searles. So my concern is right guard Joe Berger, this being his last year. You've got to get a guy who can go in and start right away. I don't know who that is. Maybe Isadora. But when you get him, you got to add more depth, right? It's kind of like the building blocks, who's down here now that he's moved up here. So I will be less comfortable next year.
Well, so talking about the depth of the offensive line, I mean, I kind of look at it and think the one guy that you could lose along the offensive line that would really hurt this line is Reef, right? I mean, because if you lose Reef, I guess you're plugging Hill back in, assuming Remmers is back at left tackle. And I know Hill has performed very well at right tackle, but do you trust him at left tackle? I mean, I think that would be the one position along the line right now that I'm really concerned about depth at. Would you guys agree? Or
I agree with you. I agree with you, Brett. But to some degree, if your left tackle goes down, you just kind of have to stomach it, right? Because think about like the Dallas Cowboys.
It's a good point, man.
Think about the Dallas Cowboys situation right now. Tyrone Smith, he's just irreplaceable. He goes down, offense looks completely different. I think that the Vikings are in a similar scenario right now where Reef goes down. As you said, Brett, the Vikings are probably screwed to a degree. I mean, it's going to really hurt. I don't know about screwed, but really, really hurt. And it doesn't really matter who's behind him, just because if you're playing elite left tackle, the drop-off from elite down to average is going to be significant no matter what.
And there's almost nothing you can do about it, right? I mean, I think across the NFL, left tackle is probably at the highest premium behind quarterback. So if you have two left tackles that are above average, I think you're probably on a level that no other teams are in the NFL as far as depth at the position. Because just like you said, BJ, I mean, even the Cowboys, I mean, look what's happened to their line since Tyron Smith has gone down. So I guess that's a good point. I agree with you that if you do lose Reef at the position, you kind of just have to stomach it. And I guess I can't really blame Spielman for not having an answer if Reef goes down, because does any team have an answer if they're left?
I think that Hill is a good answer though, in terms of what you could do. And what you have prepared for. Rashad Hill is it works financially. He is produced on both sides. Let's not forget that Week 17 game against the Chicago Bears and Leonard Floyd last year. Phenomenal on the left side. He's a great swing tackle, as Austin mentioned earlier. He can play both positions. And this is one thing that I want to point out. It's a little bit off topic, but he doesn't seem to have an ego either, which seems to be the case with a lot of the players in the Vikings. Very team-oriented atmosphere. So I think this is about as good as you can get when you've got an elite. I don't want to say that Reef is an elite left tackle, but he's playing elite caliber football right now, right? That's fair to say.
I don't think I could argue with the elite title at this point.
Okay, so he's playing elite left tackle, and Rashad Hill is playing as good as a backup can possibly play on both sides. I think that you have to feel very comfortable with your offensive tackle situation right now. It's about as good as it can get.
And I just can't believe it, man. I mean,
that too. I
mean, I said it before, but it was a cheat when we were talking about the MVP of the season so far. But Spielman is the MVP of this season for doing what he did along the offensive line. I mean, It's just deserves a huge standing ovation because I honestly, as much as I harped on the offensive line and the depth along the offensive line, I mean, even in my wildest dreams, I couldn't imagine that they'd be performing as well as they are right now. Knock on wood. Sean, let's wrap up this team needs topic. So, I mean, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I'll just do my quick needs. I'll just go in order. I've got D tackle as number 1, guard at 2 with Berger retiring, tight end actually at 3. With them missing on Bucky Hodges, I thought he was going to be a downfield threat. We looked at some guys in the offseason too that didn't sign with us, and then cornerback after tight end with Newman retiring, most likely.
Tight end's interesting, and like someone brought that up on Twitter. I don't know if I asked the question or someone else asked the question too, and someone brought it up, and I kind of agreed with it. The more I think about it, though, do you think they have what they want in David Morgan, or do you still think they're looking for a player, like you said, Sean, to fill that Bucky Hodges, really a wide receiver in a tight end's body type role?
It feels like to me that's what they're looking for. I don't know, maybe you guys can add something to that, but it feels like they were looking for downfield receiving threat as backup tight end.
Can I just here's the thing about David Morgan though, is that if you watch his film from UTEP, obviously it's a lower level of football from the FBS level, but if you watch his film from UTEP, he was a downfield vertical tight end. That's how he was used. The Vikings just simply scouted him well enough to understand that he could also be used in a primary blocking role. And that's what he has. Yeah, exactly. That's what he's been asked to do thus far. But I don't want to, it's very early to tell, especially with the number of snaps that he gets per game. But I don't want to put it past David Morgan being potentially, basically a Rudolph clone, a guy that can, run up the seam and can block well, chip well off the line of scrimmage. I think he can do more than the Vikings have asked him to do so far. But I still am with you, Sean, that tight end has to be a position that you're looking at right now, especially with so many wasted picks in the recent years here. Bucky Hodges, someone just brought him up. I haven't even thought about Bucky Hodges in like a month. We all were talking about him wearing number 84 and coming in and being this, explosive red zone threat tight end. And if you really want that, maybe, and I know that Don's gonna love this one. Maybe consider putting Treadwell in at tight end because I think that he fits the mold to a degree.
Don't fuel Don's fire.
I'm just saying that it's I'm not saying it's rational, but I'm saying that he has the skill set to play tight end.
I thought about Bucky Hodges like a week ago because he was on my dynasty roster. I don't think he's on an NFL team right now. I just looked it up.
He got dropped by the Panthers. I don't think he's anywhere else.
Yeah, that's rough, man. We were so high on him too. I guess we miss occasionally. That's weird. Who'd have known? What about safety? No one mentioned safety. Do you guys think safety's pretty sealed right now with Sendejo, Harris, and Curse? Or yeah,
people love Minkah Fitzpatrick, the prospect safety, and I think that there's a reason to love him for the Vikings because he's a very good complement to Harrison Smith, in my opinion, based off what I've seen. But if you're not satisfied with Andrew Sendejo at this point, you just never will be, I think. That's just how you feel about him because he's actually playing really great football right now, and you can honestly see the drop-off. And with Anthony Harris being out there and playing some pretty good football, especially in coverage as of late, I think you have to be pretty comfortable not spending an early round pick on a safety. Maybe shooting for one in the 3rd or 4th round, something like Desmond King was last year. That would make a lot of sense to me.
So we're going to preview the Detroit, and I know, BJ, you might have to run in a second, but maybe you stick around because you love us more than the party you're going to go to, right?
There you go.
So, Anthony Harris had a huge game against the Rams. You could almost say like he was the MVP of that game because if he doesn't force that fumble at the 1-yard line, who knows how that game goes. But I think looking at the injury report for this week, Sendejo's questionable, along with Remmers.
No, everyone was a full participant today.
Yeah, but they were still questionable. They said Remmers.
But if they're a full participant and there's no probable designation, most likely they're all going to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've seen in the past where they've had full participation in practice and been listed as questionable and not played. They would have listed them. They would have listed them as probable if they were probable.
List anyone.
Is that the designation they got rid of, or was it doubtful? I can't remember.
They got rid of probable.
That's right. All right, maybe you're right. Anyway, damn it, you're killing my hypothetical question, Austin. because I was going to say if Anthony Harris performs well again at a high level, is there any chance that maybe Harris starts to push out Sendejo in that spot, even after this performance last week, or do you think that's Sendejo? He has a hard lock on that spot right now.
I think Zimmer loves Sendejo, and there's no moving him until Sendejo is gone. Like his contract's what he signed 4 years, $16 million.
Exactly, and that's another reason why you keep Sendejo, right? You're paying him $4 million a year to do what he's doing.
Yeah,
so it's really nice.
Yeah,
but I've gotten a lot of thoughts recently about Anthony Harris. I've heard a lot of people talking about Anthony Harris playing, possibly even being a better complement to Harrison Smith than Andrew Sendejo has been. And to a degree, I'm with you guys because I like the fact that Harris is probably a better zone coverage safety than Andrew Sendejo is. That allows you to bring Harrison Smith up in the box even more than he already is, and that's kind of when he's at his best, in my personal opinion. So I agree that Anthony Harris complements him very well, and it's a good match. But you can't, people don't give Sendejo enough credit for his run stopping ability. He comes up in the box and does a hell of a job back there, and then he goes and plays, single high safety the very next play. So, and the fact that he has all this knowledge of the Vikings defense, he's been around forever. He knows everything and anything. I think for that reason, you keep Sendejo in there for as long as as long as he's healthy.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. Yeah. All right. Well, let's. I guess we have to talk about Detroit, right? Thanksgiving Eve. I keep forgetting, like you said, BJ, that we have a freaking game in the morning. 9:30 Pacific time. Yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to kind of set the stage before we get in this preview by talking about the last Detroit game really quick. So, as I'm sure everyone knows, Detroit has won the last 3 matchups against us, and they most recently just beat us 14-7 in Minnesota. Of course, that was the game. Dalvin Cook tore his ACL and kind of sent the whole thing off the rails. The defense held them to 251 yards in that game, but unfortunately the offense couldn't get anything going. They had 3 fumbles. They missed a field goal. Stafford largely was held in check most of the game. 19 for 31, 209 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. What are you saying, 4? What's that, Austin?
He should have thrown 4 interceptions that game.
Oh, yeah.
Vikings dropped 4 interceptions.
Then more miscues. Yes, dropped interceptions. And the Vikings were tortured him the whole game, sacked 6 times. They weren't able to do the same to Amir Abdullah. Amir Abdullah had 94 yards on the ground, over 20 attempts, and 1 touchdown. And on offense, I think the Vikings O-line probably had one of its worst performances of the season. Relatively speaking, obviously they performed at a pretty high level overall, but they allowed 2 sacks, and our running backs combined were only able to pick up 87 yards on the ground. So Keenum also kind of had a downer, 16 for 30, 219 yards, no touchdowns. So obviously this is a very critical game for the Vikings to wrap up this division title. Detroit isn't out of this thing. I listen to About the Labor all the time, and I think I've heard Drew harp on it over and over again that Detroit is still in this thing because they're only 2 games back right now. They get to play us tomorrow, so if they beat us, they'll have that edge in a tiebreaker. And the end of their schedule is like the beginning of our schedule was. It's cake. They have a lot of easy games coming up, so it's not hard to see a situation where they go on a streak here and win a lot of these remaining games. So with all that being said, obviously it's a huge game for the Vikings tomorrow. What are your guys' keys to the Vikings winning this game? What do they need to do to walk away winners on Thanksgiving and make all of us happy as we stuff our faces with food? Who wants to kick us off here? Sean, what are the keys tomorrow for the Vikings to walk away winners in this game?
I think, like Mike Zimmer said, the offense needs to score more points. That's pretty obvious. We've scored.
I thought you were going to say score more. I thought you were going to say score more points than the Lions. That is literally what the Vikings need to do to win. But no, you're just saying score more than they have been recently, or what was Zimmer's quote?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, the offense. They've had a lot of uncharacteristic fumbles and turnovers and things of that nature. But if we can score more points, the defense is just playing out of their minds lately. So if we can do that and stop Stafford in the 4th quarter, for the love of God, then we can do it.
What about you, DJ?
I mean, I think to a degree, Sean just hit the nail on the head. I mean, the Detroit Lions, I don't want to take anything away from them. I think they're a fairly complete football team, but they live on the edge. They love to make it, they love to win the hard way in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left. That's what they have been doing. And I think that if you put yourself in a position where they can't do that, I mean, there's a lot of different factors here. I think you need to run the ball well. I think Latavius Murray is going to be a big factor tomorrow with that defensive line kind of in shambles to a degree. Dwight Freeney just got signed there, by the way. We might see that spin move again. And so I think you got to run the ball effectively, make sure you tire these guys out, get after those linebackers at the second level, because besides Tahir Whitehead, I'm not too confident in that linebacker position just because Jared Davis is still a rookie. You never really know what you're going to get out of that. And I think you got to attack Nevin Lawson. Nevin Lawson is the guy this week. I don't care who's going one-on-one with him. I think you're going to see Quandre Diggs probably in the slot, which is a mismatch on Thielen right there. And I think that you're going to end up getting Stephon Diggs getting shadowed by Darius Slay on the outside. So I think you got to attack Nevin Lawson one-on-one on the opposite side. So Michael Floyd, Laquan Treadwell, I think it's time to step up for one of them. That's probably the biggest difference for me because as far as I'm concerned, Lawson is the weakest link in that Lions defense.
So you think Slay's shadowing Diggs as opposed to Thielen?
I think Thielen will line up in the slot because I think Shermer will like the mismatch because Quandre Diggs stands at like 5'4", and Thielen's a bigger dude, and I like that match. I like that mismatch there. I think Shermer probably does as well. So I think that at least in that scripted offense, the first 15 plays that you'll see, I think Thielen will line up in the slot.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Austin?
Mine's going to be kind of two parts in a way. I think you have to. The theme is converting opportunities. So I mentioned that Stafford lives on the edge just like the Lions do, and he's probably going to give the defense opportunities to intercept passes. He might fumble the ball on a sack. You got to be able to take advantage of those opportunities. I think last game he got sacked by Harrison Smith, and the Vikings didn't recover the fumble. Like I said, 4 interceptions, but then also they've got a kicker in Matt Prater who is going to make kicks, and so you have to be able to, when you get into the red zone or into field goal range, make field goals. And Kai Forbath in a game like this can't miss 2 field goals like he did last week. I think that's probably going to be the biggest determining factor. And while I'd like to say this is going to be a 2-score Vikings win, the last 3 games have been decided by what? I want to say 13 points or so. So it's going to be a field goal game, and Kai Forbath's got to step up.
All right, I'm going to put you guys on the spot here. I know, BJ, how much you love predictions. So I'm going to go around. I'm going to get a prediction from you tomorrow for tomorrow's game. Are Vikings fans going to be happy or unhappy? And then I'm going to even put you more on the spot. I want like a hot take, kind of like a bold prediction for tomorrow's game. Not a score prediction, but like Danielle Hunter is going to have 4 sacks or, something hot. So I'm going to Who's most comfortable to answer this right now? Who wants to go first? Who can come up with something on the spot? Okay, Austin, go. Give these other 2 guys a chance to come up with something. I want 2. I want your score prediction, then I want your hot, bold prediction.
Okay, I think it's going to be Vikings 21, Lions 17. I think the hot take is that Laquan Treadwell is going to score his first touchdown. Maybe Case Keenum won't miss him.
You just stole Sean's.
Oh.
Sean is sticking on those Treadwell predictions, those hot takes. He's going to hit eventually.
Case Keenum's not going to miss Laquan Treadwell, a wide open Laquan Treadwell. That's my hot take. He scores a touchdown.
Okay. BJ.
I think that it's going to be Michael Floyd's day, personally.
Going the other route.
Yeah. I don't know. I had the same thought as Austin because, like I just said, Nevin Lawson is the weakest link, and I think that the Vikings are going to attack him at some point, and I think that one of Treadwell or Floyd is going to reap the benefits. I'm going to take Floyd just because I think he's the better player right now, and I think that he'll finally start to get some looks in this game. We'll see what happens, though.
No, you gotta give me something. You can't just say he's gonna get looks.
Okay,
is he gonna get a touchdown or
five receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown from Michael Floyd. Breakout game.
Okay, didn't Floyd this week for the first time surpass Treadwell as far as snaps as well? I think I saw something like that.
They both had 16, to be honest.
Oh, okay. I thought Floyd had more, but I could be wrong there. Sean, go ahead.
Score prediction, I've got 28-20 Vikes, and I've got 3 rushing touchdowns by Tay-Train, Latavius Murray.
Okay. So, hold on, 3?
I like that.
What was your score?
You said what? 4 in the past 2 games, right?
28-20 Vikes.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure your
1.
score matched your hot take prediction.
All right, so I'm going to give you my score prediction now, and I'm going to take off if that's cool with you guys.
We're literally going to wrap up in like 1 minute, so you want to just stay on. But go ahead, give us your score.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I think I said this yesterday. I'm trying to stay consistent throughout the week because I always give like 3 score predictions. I'm gonna say Vikings win. I believe my score was 27-18 was the number I gave yesterday. Something right in that neighborhood. I think basically the way I do my score predictions now is if I think the Vikings are gonna win, I have them cross the 21-point plateau, and then basically I have the other team go lower than 20. So that's how my prediction works. I got the Vikings winning on Thanksgiving. I think they're the better team. I think they're the more complete team. I think they're more ready for this game than they were last time. So I'm expecting a big Thanksgiving performance. To some degree, this is kind of a prove-it game to me after beating the Rams, and I think the Vikings are ready to do it.
The Vikings still got to prove it to you?
I mean, you got to prove it every week. This is the NFL.
All right, fair enough. All right, I'm going to make a prediction because I feel like in the past I've always gotten away with not making a prediction and pointing and laughing at you guys when you're wrong. So I'm going to do 24-10, and then I'm going to take Danielle Hunter with 3 sacks, and that's basically what I'm going off of is I'm hoping I hit my bold prediction eventually because I'm on pace for it. And my bold prediction was Danielle Hunter will have 9 sacks in the second half of the season. So I'm hoping he kind of adds to that in Detroit tomorrow. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Again, appreciate you hanging out with us pre-Thanksgiving. Appreciate everyone out there for watching. I hope you guys have a lovely day with your friends and family. If you haven't already, man, subscribe to the Vikings Territory channel. We got some great stuff. We got the About the Labor show. The last bump and run is hilarious with Sam. He wasn't here tonight, but you got to go watch it if you haven't seen it. So if you subscribe and you click the little notification, you'll get to see all that stuff as soon as it's posted. Like, share with your friends, and enjoy the day tomorrow, gentlemen. Thank you. See you guys.